if you don't have users and
basically, I would say don't unless you have this exponential explosion event. Of course, prior to that, there is nothing to talk about. So if you talk at this moment, well, to a degree, it will be kind of desperation talk. But yet again, I would say, let's suppose you worked on something for 6 months. You clearly understand it's not going to work. So I mean, there is not this exponential burst event. But you develop some technology. Forget kind of like this kind of pride factor. Why don't go and shop this and say, hey, you can have this code base, this set of stuff, and kind of our little team for say 2 million or 3 million. You at least don't have to build it yourself. It's already built. So these deals are still possible. And honestly, there is not that much logic in valuation, because like if you heard recently, there was like a Slide deal. Slide was sold to Google for amount which in no metrics we discuss here would make any sense. But personally, I think it's my pure speculation. Personally, I think Max Levchin is awesome entrepreneur. He is like absolutely great in what he's doing, despite the fact that Slide was kind of relatively didn't perform so well. And Google, like as the founder of this caliber, we will pay a premium price for it. We don't care that even he doesn't have kind of a product we really want, but he has a team, it has itself. That's a crazy high number. So same thing can happen at any stage. Some people personally like your team. They say, oh, this will be great at synergy addition and give you way more kind of consideration for value of your technologies that you will even kind of personally think. So I would say engineers in general, kind of like for engineering started startups, we then try to talk to people less, and we try to like, oh, we're engineers, we're brilliant, we build products, and these products are so brilliant, people will come talk to us. So I would say do it easier way, just talk people to people. You can talk about your products, but be proactive in reaching out pretty much as soon as you see some traction, as soon as something positive starts to happen.
There's been a lot of market consolidation over the last year, particularly in the gaming space, I think you could say. Do you think that's going to continue to happen, and do you think that these smaller exits...
Gaming space is basically in this mature state of the graph. So we are there. So all gaming companies understand this like waves coming through the marketplace, and kind of just like we discussed, kind of my analogy of Gödel's statement, we figure out how social games work, and that process was built and formalized over the last 3 years. So now it's completely mature space. We know the rules, we know the formal system, we know actually how to print the social games, but that also means this exponential hockey sticks, they're gone, because there is lots of big, hugely funded companies who do it professionally, and they have all formal rules how these hits are discovered. If you compare it to social gaming 3 years ago, no formal system, we knew next to nothing. It's like we were discovering all this lure as we're going. I remember this time very well, that like any experiment may either completely fail, or you had this multi-million explosion. So yeah, but now the question is, what's the next startup waves? What are undiscovered areas where this kind of hidden exponential explosion hides?
So do you think this will keep happening, these consolidations or these acquisitions, or do you think it's...
You're talking about social gaming space?
I'm saying broadly consumer web. This is, I mean, it seems to
consumer web, I think it's too broad. I think we had kind of sub-segment of consumer web called social games, and of course their consolidation will continue, it just already became mature industry. But in consumer web as whole, anything is possible. It's a very broad platform. So I don't know, geolocation, some mix of geolocation with web. You can pretty much take pretty much any industry and ask yourself a question: had that industry had its web to kind of counterpart already implemented? Had it become big? Do there is potential? Kind of have some people done anything web 2 interesting in this segment? If you'll be surprised if you start going down that list how many empty areas there are still left. Yeah. I don't think, like for example, Groupon and this type of e-commerce stuff, it's not done by far. We kind of...
Right.
Yeah. Throw out some more examples. Augmented reality, voice recognition. Where are these things?
Well, you talk in general or specifically for consumer web?
All right.
In general. Well, honestly, I have not followed them as closely as I follow kind of what's happening on consumer web. Kind of, I think this is all this is all technologies, and technologies are colors. And these colors you paint. And geolocation is color, and augmented reality is color. Everything this is colors. So the point, as we said, there is no formal system. I cannot tell you formulas that will say this and this color is next exponential opportunity. But definitely, if they have not been used that much previously, it's strong indicator, oh, that place probably not fully explored yet. That space probably not fully mapped out yet. So including these colors probably help. But somebody should be careful, because I talk with lots of entrepreneurs and they like, oh, no matter what I do, it's going to be geolocation. And I'm like, why? It makes no sense to what you do. No, I don't care, it will be geolocation. So don't get into this kind of mistake of mistaking color with the product. It's just simply a tool to kind of to try something entirely new. And if it requires augmented reality, great. But it's might as so. If we say Groupon, they didn't need anything of augmented reality. They used everything of completely plain web toolkit. So, yeah, anything is possible.
Got one more, and then I'll stop bothering you.
No, feel free. Yeah.
To me, it seems like one of the big things is there's so many applications coming out all the time, all this stuff, and the secret is crossing over to the mainstream. Do you have any insights on how do you reach the mainstream, or how to identify those?
I think basically, exactly the reason, there is so much stuff happening, and that stuff is so all over the map that pretty much everybody, including investors now, so now investors always say, we want to see traction, is they like, oh, we don't understand anything what's going on, we're just going to see if somebody puts it on the web, sticks some Google Ads on top of it, if they see explosive growth, okay, that means it worked. If they don't see that explosive growth, then, well, I wouldn't say it negates your chances for funding, but let's just say you have some explaining to do. You need to explain, oh, this was just a prototype, we need this, this, and this, it's going to get great up to next iteration. Yeah, so, no, it's just like I said, there is no formal system to discover new hit. If there would be such a system, people would be already using it.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you had seen any tips of signs that you have the potential to, reach mainstream, as opposed to being something that techies love, and then when you try to take it out of the show.
Well, it's we're kind of using as informal example in our brainstorming session something like redneck single mom in Texas on welfare, and you always kind of mentally have to understand, oh, will she use this product? Will she understand it? Or kind of maybe we shouldn't paint sine wave here on the front page and ask her to enter 3 coefficients. So it's definitely helpful mental modeling, but yet again, if kind of think back in time, take something like Twitter. Would single Texas mom would be interested in Twitter? 140 characters to post something, you would say it makes no sense whatsoever. Twitter still makes no sense whatsoever to many people, but it works. It's proven in marketplace, it has huge following. So yeah, it's kind of effectively you need to accept the unknown. You need to accept that there is no formal system to prove it's going to work, just try it. And iterate as fast as you can after you see kind of first failures.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest problems is that you may think too much about the mainstream beginning, because that really puts you back and just getting the prototype out. Because in the end of the day, yeah, I mean, you can't make something perfect the quickest way to test it.
Cool. More questions?
Yeah. Just taking, you're talking about the social commerce as a Groupon model, and I would love to hear your thoughts about this model and about this environment that happen now around Groupon and copycats.
Well, Groupon is an example of kind of new types of e-commerce, and again, I cannot tell what sort of new e-commerce play will be popular after Groupon, but I think I'm safe to say that Groupon, Guild, that type of site, it's not end of the story. There is something even more interesting, more exciting will come into e-commerce space. So basically you can take consumer web, you can slice it into the segments and kind of like social gaming, kind of e-commerce, kind of pick whatever other segments you want, and there is always will be some sort of disruption event. And the difference is that we effectively, for example, if you compare with social gaming, we have multiple big, huge winners. In e-commerce space, there is relatively less. So there is Groupon, there is Guild, and kind of lots of copycats that did not bring something new to the table. So what if somebody comes up with this third model? Because I think it should be more than two. There is some potential for kind of revolutionizing it. Kind of, yet at the same time, until somebody tries, does it, and
I think, the interesting thing about all this new e-commerce is that most of them like tap into the open graph, right? And I think that's in general like
open graph.
That's like a big field, like besides geolocalization and mobile and so on. I think that's a big buzzword in terms of like where new, exponential growth is going to happen.
Questions?
Anything else you haven't said and feel you should say?
I probably can give 5 other different presentations on Silicon Valley is a very big phenomenon. Yeah, we can talk about valuation, initial funding, how to kind of approach angels, kind of how should you approach VCs, if at all. I think basically, besides my first fail fast, I think for first-time entrepreneurs. So to be honest, I would say repeat entrepreneurs, they suffer from way less problems than first-time entrepreneurs. I think you need to try to optimize your time and your networking opportunities in Silicon Valley and try to find some way to kind of like at minimum get some of this culture at our networking events, which happens pretty much all the time, and at best try to integrate yourself in some of the startups, or maybe start something yourself, because Silicon Valley is, I would say, roughly about 2, maybe 3 years into the future. Not much, the shift is not big, but this ability to see in the future, because like Facebook here was popular like at least 1 year or 2 years before it hit mainstream. Twitter was popular here before it hit mainstream. Everything here happens slightly faster. Your ideas again, like you go, I don't know, back to some flyover state, who you can discuss your startup ideas with. Here, as soon as you discuss your startup idea with anybody, hey, here's me. Send me email, I will meet you in any coffee shop. Tell me your startup idea. I will destroy it in 5 minutes. Then 10 of your friends will do the same. And you're like, oh, cool, I didn't actually have to build it. I will come up with new idea. So you iterate faster. Your ideas are constantly reviewed, but very kind of like startup-friendly, startup experience groups. In other places, it would be hard to do. So all these advantages accrue. All this, again, more money, more advisors, more investors, more startup-friendly people. So first startup is definitely easier to do in Silicon Valley. If you cannot, well, try to kind of connect to it online. Try to get as many online, value-based blogs, resources, etc. as you can. Because yeah, it's.
But I guess I'm sure there were people who destroyed Facebook. There were investors who asked, give us 50,000. I think there was one investor, Mark, asked for 50,000 at the beginning. He said no. I mean, obviously not everybody's judgment. Just because someone destroys the idea doesn't mean. I guess. Sorry.
Yeah, he wasn't out here. To be fair.
Sorry.
He was on the East Coast.
Okay, well, I'm sure it happens. Fair enough, but I'm sure it happens here too. So
no, and I mean, when I say destroy, the thing is, I would say they will destroy your idea.
They just give you idea.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean you have to abandon it.